here. It was a real cold weekend. 0 degrees, between 0 and -10 for the lows. So I didn't get outside and do any cutting or splitting. The couple times I did get outside, it was real quick just to organize a couple firewood piles and bring in some firewood for my own burning. Plus I was battling a little cold this weekend too, so I suppose it was a good weekend to stay inside. And today I thought I'll talk about my wood stove. I guess do a little review on it. It's my third season burning with it. It is a Morso 7110. They're made out of Denmark. So I'll talk about my experience shopping for one, as well as the pros and cons. So when we bought this house a few years back, it did not have a wood stove in it, but I knew I wanted a wood stove. So hence I started shopping. And at the time, my wish list, or the things I wanted in a wood stove at the time, were it's changed now. Now that I've had a wood stove, if I was to shop for one today, it'd be different than 3 years ago. So at the time when I was shopping for a wood stove 3 years ago, I wanted something that I would just occasionally burn when I was home and just felt like it. Caveman TV, I guess they call it. So never planned on it being anywhere near a primary heat source, I guess is the main point. So things like burn times weren't that important to me. Firebox size wasn't that important to me. And what was important to me was things like ease of lighting and ease of use, and low maintenance. So those were my main purchasing points, or things I was thinking about when I was looking at the stove 3 years ago. So because this stove is non-catalytic, it doesn't have a catalytic converter, it kind of checked a box for ease of maintenance. I heard good reviews on how it was easy to start. So again, being that I only planned to use it when I wanted to, I pictured myself lighting it often. So that's kind of why I ended up with this stove, is again mostly for the ease of use, easy lighting, easy maintenance. And again, now knowing what I know after using this for 3 years, I would go in a slightly different direction. It's still an outstanding stove, and I'll talk about some of those pros right now. So one of the pros off the top of my head is that I think it's a good looking stove. It looks nice. It fits in nicely in the living room here. Yeah, I think it's just an all-around good looking stove. Nice big picture or glass viewing area. Another pro is its quality. I do believe it's a quality stove. It's made by a good company in Denmark. Quality materials, quality craftsmanship, all that. I don't remember the warranty off the top of my head, but this is one of those stoves that you can expect to last a long time. I hit on it earlier, but another pro is the ease of starting. It is definitely fairly easy to start. That might be partially due to the chimney. The venting system here is just a straight 13-foot double-walled pipe. So I do have good draft, generally speaking. That also helps with the lighting. That's a big part in the lighting. Looking at my notes here. Oh, another pro, it does have an ash pan. So I really like that feature, not having to get a bucket in here and a little shovel and scoop out the ashes. It does have an ash pan. It is on the smaller side, but I'll take it. Another pro is the glass itself. is fairly maintenance free. I occasionally, when it is not running, obviously, I will just wipe it down, mostly just to get some of that ash off. But I've never had to use any chemicals on it or anything like that. It's always just been a wet paper towel, and it wipes right off. So, you know, that's awesome. Keeping it looking nice and being able to see the fire is half the fun. I guess on that same topic, just general maintenance. So I do clean the chimney myself every year, and you know, take apart the inside, take out the baffles, take out the secondary air burn tubes and all that. And I clean the stove, clean the chimney, clean the cap, and everything is fairly easy to work on. So that's a bonus to me. The maintenance part is easy for myself to do. Another pro, it does heat good. It's small, but it is mighty. I think it's rated at around 36,000 BTU per hour. So that is on the smaller scale, but it does heat good. Also, it's not overpowering. Like, I'm sitting here and yeah, it's pretty dang hot, but it's a softer heat because it is cast. So it's a good fit because you can sit over here and not be blasted, or you don't feel like you have to open a window or something. So that's a pro. It heats good, but it's not overpowering, because I do like to run it even when it's somewhat milder outside. So when it is milder outside, you can imagine then it obviously would heat up quite a bit in here. But because it's on the smaller side, it's a little bit harder to overheat the space. I'll go down my list of cons here. So a couple of the cons I'm going to say are obvious. You know, one is the smaller size. So it does have a smaller firebox. It's 1 cubic foot. When you have a bunch of coals in there, that doesn't leave room for much firewood. And the firewood that does go in it, I prefer 12 to 14 inch lengths, smaller splits. But it will take, you know, the traditional 16, 17 inch, no problem. It's just sometimes awkward getting them in the door. Kind of got to go in at an angle to get into the door, and then you can lay it flat. If I have to, I can fit 18, 19 inch piece diagonal. You know, you just don't want to do too many of those, because then it kind of takes up a lot of the space. So yeah, small firebox size, but not the end of the world. Another con is the short burn times, which probably partially goes with the firebox size. It does have very short burn times. I think even in the owner's manual, it says expect about 1 hour time to go between refills. So if you're trying to run this as your primary heat source, 1 hour is not going to cut it. I typically, when I'm home, I'm probably filling it close to every hour. I shouldn't say filling it. I'm throwing a piece in here and there every hour. I'd say it averages about 2 hour burn time, the way I use it. But 3 hours isn't out of the question. I've had times where, 6, 7, 8 hours later, there are some coals after stirring up the ash, but I wouldn't really call it a fire after 6, 7, 8 hours. Very rare. And that all depends on conditions, how cold it is outside, how the draft is going, and of course the wood you're using. Like right now there's a bunch of ash in there, but I've been burning a lot of honey locust lately, and that honey locust will last twice as long as the ash. Don't get me wrong, ash is great, but that honey locust is some real good stuff. So yeah, I think that's it off the top of my head that I wrote down for cons. Overall, it's a great stove. Would I buy it again? Probably not, because of the way I use it. If you're somebody that's just going to use it occasionally, maybe on the weekends or maybe just when it's really cold, then yeah, this is a great stove. But if you're a wood hound and you have an endless supply of wood, you want something that's going to be able to be your primary heat source. And things like firebox size and burn times are pretty important in that. So I don't think I'll be getting rid of this one anytime soon, because at the end of the day, it is a good stove. But if I had to do it over again, I'd have some different priorities on my mind for what I want in a wood stove. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I wrap this up. Overall, it's a great stove, and yeah, I'm happy to be burning it, especially when it's 0 degrees right now. It's supposed to be down to the negative teens tonight. Really beats paying that gas, man. All right, well, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions on the Morso 7110, feel free to comment. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks. Bye.